thinking through each of the pieces, not just the loss of lives, but the experience, and how you literally said it was a calling from Mother Nature, pun intended, for people to recognize that when they can lean into the lightheartedness of what is occurring, death maybe not, but there are components even to my grandmother's tragic death that happened earlier this year, that we can all bring together laughter from her life, not necessarily the situation, but it allowed us to cope in such a healthy way rather than anger or frustration towards how everything went down, which I'm sure there's a lot of that in the hearts and homes of the people who have lost lives recently.
That's right. And the humor comes from a place of because there were no injuries. I wouldn't have delivered it that way if there was, but I would have found humor in some other light and expressed it differently.
Yeah, completely. So are you, as like a dad, because I think one of the most humorous things that I've experienced in life is being a mom. Like there's just some ridiculous things that transpire. Have you been able to utilize or tap in as a parent in that realm? Do any of your kids have that similar trait?
Yeah, both my kids have different traits, but they're both humorous in different ways. So let's just take I'll call the oldest kid more of like a Jerry Seinfeld type of humor, where he's just very inquisitive, very analytical. So he'll be able to, he's 9, but I mean, if he tried to, he could write a good joke and like just deliver it on point and really edit it that way to be perfect. The other one is the opposite end of the spectrum, where he just is just a crazy person who just like goes off the seat of his pants and he's just hilarious in his own way, but way less analytical. So I feel like I'm the combination of both of those. So they're definitely my kids.
That's good. You get to tap into those sides, which I think is really, really fun. So tell me a bit about maybe some childhood experiences that led you into not only music, but the humor side of things, and just kind of the growth of stepping into that. I was on a call earlier today with Brian Hess, who also spoke at the Grow for God conference and will again next year. And he was talking about, young entrepreneurs and the opportunity of really developing people earlier than the blueprint cookie cutter. Now you go to high school, now you go to college, now you get a job that you actually don't like, and now all these things that happen in life. And I think the route of an artist, a musician, a comedian is likely a lot different than that. So talk us through yours.
It's I think a lot of us grow up, if a lot of people grow up in that same sort of environment, like your parents just want you to get a good job, like something safe when you're older. And I was lucky enough to grow up in that environment. As an artist, like I complain about it all the time. Like my parents like forced me to get a college education. Like it's poor me, right?
Right. I'm same. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I appeased that side. I honored my parents, and I got the education, and I started a software consulting company in my 20s. But that allowed me the balance to be able to, all right, now I have income, and now I can start my creative side. But now having that income, I have, it's like a sponsor. Do you know what I mean? I no longer have to worry about being a cashier at a grocery store. I have like a solid passive income coming in, and now I can really focus on the creative side. So I went to Nashville in my 20s. I was like, I'm going to self-fund my own album, because at that time, record labels aren't exactly looking for software guys to sign to their record labels. So I go and we record the best possible album that I could have. I'm using Shania Twain's fiddle player. I got Reba McEntire as a guitar player. You're in Nashville, you know all this sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so I bring it back to Canada, and I'm very excited to release this debut album. And then radio did not love it. They're like, it's pretty good, but it's not what we're looking for right now. I'm like, cool. That's $40,000 I'll never get back. So I hung it on this. I just threw it on YouTube. I'm like, people will find it eventually. And a couple years go by, and I get this call from New York. They're like, this ad agency, we want to use your song in this commercial, this ad campaign for some blood thinning, whatever. I was like, cool, go ahead. I didn't realize that like music licensing was like a big thing in the music industry.
Yeah, the thing, really.
Exactly. So that it ended up in this commercial with like Arnold Palmer and Kevin Nealon, and it got played all over North America for like 4 straight years. I ended up buying one of the co-writers, down payment on his house and his engagement ring for his fiance, and it ended up bankrolling my next 3 albums. And it just occurred to me that I was shooting for radio stardom, but maybe my stuff wasn't positioned or perfect for that, but it was perfect for something else. But moral of the story is I wouldn't have known that had I not created it to begin with. So